Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. First of all, what a difference a day makes. If you watched yesterday's video, you know my voice was not anything like this. I woke up feeling a little under the weather today. I'm okay, and I wanted to get this video out for you guys, and so here it is in all its glory, my raspy voice. I'm going to be creating a mini Slimline card set today featuring the brand new Pinkfresh Studio Floral Envelope Stamps and Coordinating Die Set. Now, I do want to mention that there is also a coordinating layering stencil set which fills in and colors in all the flowers on the floral image that I'll be using a little bit later on. But I'm not using that today. I am creating a rainbow of these mini envelopes, and I used these cards as my thank you cards for all of the wonderful Christmas gifts that I received. So I'm starting out with several colors of cardstock. I will have them linked and listed in the YouTube description below. So if you're looking for a specific color, I will have that below for you. And I'm placing this into my Misty stamping tool. I'm prepping the surface of each color of cardstock with my anti-static powder tool. And then I'm stamping this in embossing ink. And I stamped several of them at one time and then took them all over and added the embossing powder to them. Now, because I knew I was making several of these cards, I kind of batched them. So I did half of the colors stamped and then added the embossing powder and then heat set them and then went back and stamped and embossed the other colors that were remaining. And I am left with this beautiful rainbow of all these stamped and heat embossed mini envelopes. And I love the way that the white embossing powder looks on all of these colors. So here they are in all their glory. It's a gorgeous rainbow. And now I'm going to take the coordinating die and die cut each of these mini envelopes out. Now, the cool thing is that this die actually creates an opening on each of these envelopes. And just like I showed you in yesterday's video, you can tuck a little gift card or a little mini note inside of them, and it is so much fun. Or you can use the floral piece that is included in the stamp set to kind of tuck inside of those. And that's what I'm doing today. So here's a look at all of these envelopes die cut. I think this is so much fun, and it's a great way to use up smaller pieces of cardstock that you might have on hand. Now for each one of these envelopes, I need a floral piece, and I am going to stamp and heat emboss those onto some Essentials by Ellen Vellum. So I'm prepping the surface once again with my anti-static powder tool. This is the Cottontail powder tool from Rabbit Hole Designs. And then I'm inking up in Versamark ink and stamping this onto my vellum. Then I'm going to take it over. I'm going to add the embossing powder just like I did with the envelopes, and I'm going to heat set all of these. Now keep in mind, because I'm making so many of these cards all at once, I am batching the process. So I'm doing several of the same step all at once. And I'm going to end up with several cards at the end of this process. And by batching them and kind of doing all of the same thing at once, it kind of saves me time because I'm not getting out my embossing powder, 8 or 9 different times. I'm doing this step all at once. So I did need to brush away a little bit of excess embossing powder on this vellum before I heat set it. And then I took my Wow embossing heat tool and heat set that embossing powder. Now, florals embossed in white on vellum is one of my favorite things. And I think it is a beautiful addition to any card. And I love that you can really use florals throughout the year for a lot of different occasions. Now, once I have these images heat embossed on the vellum, I'm going to take the coordinating die, I'm going to line it up over that floral image. I'm going to hold it in place with a little bit of removable tape and then run that through my die cut machine. And I'll have several of these floral pieces that I can then tuck in all of the colorful envelopes. Now, since the coordinating die set for the envelope already die cuts the little slit opening for you, you can just tuck these into each of the different colors. And then I'm going to give you a look at all of these different colored envelopes with the little floral pieces tucked in. Now, keep in mind, if you just wanted to do all pink or all blue or all teal, you could definitely do this. But I thought it was really fun to make this rainbow of envelopes. And this would make a great little note card set to give away as a gift to a teacher or to someone in your life who you just want to spoil with some handmade cards to use for themselves. Now for the sentiment, I'm using the brand new hot foil set from Pinkfresh Studio. This has several different scripty sentiments that you can use, and this is not a one-piece hot foil stamp like a lot of the hot foiling sentiments previous released from Pinkfresh Studio, but all of these sentiments are individual. So you can just do the one sentiment that you want, or you can foil press a sentiment onto a stenciled or colored image that you have on your card front, or you can use the coordinating dies like I'm doing today and die cut those and place them onto your card front. So I've just heated up my plate on my FoilPress platform. I've added my champagne colored glimmer foil and then my Hammermill smooth white cardstock. I ran that through my Gemini Junior die cutting machine and that pressed the foil into the paper. Now I'm taking the coordinating die, I'm lining it up over my foiled image. I'm going to run that through my die cut machine and that die cuts the thanks sentiment. Now I love these sentiments because they cut out like the loop portions in the middle of the K and the little extra piece between the T and the H. And I think that makes a die set really special for a sentiment, especially when it is super delicate like this. Now for this next portion of my card, I used the stripes or strips dies from Pinkfresh Studio and I die cut it from all the colors. These are the very smallest strips and the medium-sized strips that you can cut with this die set. There is one that's larger, wider strips, but I used the two smaller ones and I die cut it from all the colors of cardstock that I used for my envelope. Now, I wasn't sure which width I wanted to use, which is why I went ahead and die cut both the skinniest and the medium-sized one, but I end up using the skinniest strips of all of these. And I'm taking some Altenew sheet adhesive and I'm going to add it onto some white cardstock. And I'm just using my Misty stamping tool here to line up the corners so I get this perfectly positioned onto that white cardstock. I don't have any adhesive kind of running over the sides of my cardstock. And then I'm going to press that in using my bone folder. Now I've removed the backer of this double-sided adhesive so that I can start adding all of these strips at an angle onto the white cardstock. And I'm basically making my own kind of pattern paper, striped pattern paper, using the same exact colors that I used for the envelopes. So this is going to coordinate beautifully with every single one of the envelopes that I created earlier. So I'm starting out with the darker pink and then moving on to the lighter pink, and I'm going to go through my rainbow in rainbow order. And when I put these down, I'm just making sure that the stripe that I'm putting next to the previous stripe, it butts up against that so that there's no gap between them. Now, once I've completed this pattern and I have all of these on there, I'm going to go ahead and just press them onto the cardstock. Then I'm going to take this over to my trimmer and cut off any excess. And then I'm going to take this to my rail trimmer and cut off the excess of paper. So I'm just running my finger along the edge of all of those strips that I put down so I know where to cut this. And this was a little easier for me to cut, like I mentioned, on my rail trimmer. So I moved to my rail trimmer here. I'm just lining the rail up with the little kind of groove that I made with my fingernail. And I'm just trimming off all of the excess. So all I have is striped paper left. Now once I have this trimmed down, I'm going to take it back to my little guillotine trimmer and I am going to trim down several like 1/4 inch wide strips of this. And they're going to have kind of an angle along the top and bottom because that's just kind of how it ended up. And I liked that because I trimmed all of the excess white cardstock off. So here's a look at all those strips I have ready to go on my card front. Now this mini Slimline card front was die cut using the mini Slimline Essentials die set from Pinkfresh Studio. And so it has a nice little diagonal stitching along the edge of it. It measures about 3 inches by about 6 inches. And I am stamping this floral grouping once again onto the card front, but this time I'm using the Misty Coast ink from Pinkfresh Studio. So that's just going to add a little texture to the card front. And then I can add my striped piece of homemade pattern paper onto the side as well. And I just used a little bit of tape runner adhesive for that. And I put it in about 1/4 inch from the edge of this. Now I'm going to position my envelope kind of at an angle here towards the bottom of this card front, and I'm adding it on using some foam adhesive. And then I'm going to take this card front and add it to my card base. Now the mini Slimline card base I'm using today, the finished size is 3¼ inches by 6¼ inches. So I create that card base by cutting my cardstock to 6½ inches by 6¼ inches, and then I score on the 6½ inch edge at 3¼ inches, and that gives me a mini Slimline card. And then I just added my little foiled sentiment onto the front there using a little bit of foam adhesive. And that completes my rainbow of mini Slimline note cards for the day. I think these are so adorable. I love that little addition of the stripes, the colorful stripes along the side. It just brings it all together. And these came together rather quickly, especially considering that I created 8 cards in this setting. And I just love when I can take the same design and repeat it over and over again. This didn't get old because I had this beautiful rainbow at the end. Now, as always, I will have links to the featured products used in these projects in the description at YouTube, so check below if there's something that you're looking for in particular, or you can head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I will have that linked below as well. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, a complete list of supplies, as well as some information on an Instagram hop that I'm participating in with this project, featuring the brand new January 2022 release from Pinkfresh Studio. And there are prizes to be had. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here on my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. And if you loved this video, I would love it if you would share it with a friend. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.